back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me or who've never been here before, I'm Rachel, the owner of the Eclectic Cottage in Spokane, Washington. Happy New Year. Today is officially the third day of 2023. Hope it's going great for you so far. And today is Tuesday, which means a flip video, and I have a thrift flip video for you today. Part of my 2023 goals are to become more organized, basically here at the cottage and at home. And part of that is starting to go through some of the things that I have in my hoard here at the cottage and getting them done and out on the floor. So today's video, I picked 6 items out of my stash and I reworked them and fixed them up and made them pretty so that I can get them out on the floor. So I hope you like the video, and if you like content like this and want to see more of my thrift flips and furniture flips and DIYs, please subscribe to my channel and then hit the little notification bell, and that will tell you when I upload new content. And as I've said before, as we get closer to seed starting season and spring, you're going to get some bonus content of my flower farm and some of the seeds that I'm starting and some things that go on for my nursery here at the cottage as well. So I'm looking forward to giving you that kind of content as we go forward as well. Anyway, without further ado, here are the 6 projects that I finished for you for this week's video. Here are the 6 items that I pulled out of my hoard so that I could get them done for you guys in this week's video. For my first project, I am just finishing up this little owl statue that I've had sitting around for a while. I had it painted and then I accidentally kicked it and knocked it over and chipped the paint on one of his ears. So I'm just kind of cleaning him up and making sure that he's all covered with paint. And as you can see, I'm kind of pouncing the paint on, and that's to give it just a little bit of texture so that when I use the white wax on it, it has a real kind of textured appearance, almost like stone. And then here I am going back over it with the white wax, just using a small brush, kind of blending it into that paint and making sure that I get good coverage. And then wiping it back with a shop towel. So finish up his little face. So this was a pretty easy project to complete, but I just wanted to get it done, so I stopped kicking him, and I think he turned out really, really cute. For project 2, I decided to finish these 2 tall candle holders that I've had in my kitchen for a while. And I liked the look of them the way they were, but I wanted to make them look almost a little like aged copper. So I'm starting with Apothecary by DIY. It's one of my favorite colors. And just giving it a real thin coat, not really paying too much attention to making sure it's perfect, but just kind of getting the paint on there and worked into the crevices. And then I'm going back over it with a wash that I've made with DIY's White Swan and water. It's probably about half water and half paint that I mixed up really well. And again, I'm just kind of throwing it on here. I got a few drips and stuff, but I'm really not worried too much about that. Just trying to get it in all the nooks and crannies. And what this is doing, since DIY paint can be reactivated with water, is it's kind of reactivating that coat of Apothecary under it. And the next step is taking a paper towel and just dabbing the wet White Swan back off of the Apothecary. Now, since it did reactivate the paint, it's also taking off some of the Apothecary with it and just kind of leaving a little bit behind, giving it a very aged look. I don't know, to me it's a little French, I guess, and I just think it's really pretty. So it changes the look of the candlesticks without totally changing it. And here I am doing the same thing on the other one, just giving it that coat of the white Swan wash and then dabbing it back off. Just kind of pretty, and set them aside. And then next step is clear wax. So I go over both candlesticks with a good coat of DIY's clear wax, putting that on with my wax brush, working that into all the nooks and crannies, making sure I get good coverage on the entire piece, and then going back and wiping any excess off with a shop towel. Pretty simple process, just making sure no big clumps are stuck anywhere. Then doing the same to the other one. Wax on and then wax off. Pretty easy procedure. And then the fourth and final step, I am taking dark wax and going back over any place where there are details or the apothecary is kind of showing through to give it a little bit more of an aged patina. And I love this dark wax, especially over the clear wax. The clear wax helps it move around so that it doesn't become too muddy when you put it on, but it definitely kind of darkens it up and gives it that aged coppery kind of patina, which I love. You can really see it there on the shaft of that candle holder. So, and then again, just taking my shop towel and wiping off any excess. And I just love how these turned out. For project 3, I had found this cute pedestal bowl, and I decided that I was just going to give it a classic white over black paint job and then distress it back to the black. So I'm starting off here using DIY's White Swan and giving this a really good coat of paint. And I do go over it a second time and give it another good coat of paint. And then I did hit it in a couple spots with a third coat, just to make sure none of the black was shining through. And then the next step is distressing. And so I am taking a wet shop towel and just rubbing all the details and in all the areas where I want that black to show through. Just making it look aged. And next up is waxing, and so I just finished it with a clear wax by DIY. Really easy process. Just rub the wax on with your wax brush and then take off any excess with your shop towel. But I think this turned out super cute. And I know it was a really simple process, but it definitely gave it a really nice look. So project 4 was definitely my most labor intensive of the projects that I picked for this week. I don't know where I got the idea to put decoupage paper on half of this star and then paint the other half black, but that's what I decided I wanted to do with it. And it definitely turned into a bit of a process. So here I am giving it the first coat of black paint on all the sides of the star. So basically half of the star black, and then going over it again and putting a second coat of black because there were a few places on the metal where the metal was still kind of shining through just a little. And then following that up with white paint. And what you don't see in this video is, as I'm painting this white, the yellowy brown color that's already on the star leaches up through that white paint, and I ended up having to put a coat of Big Top over the white and then repaint it again. And then I still had a little bit of leaching, so I went over parts of it with Big Top again and then repainted it white. So that has 3 coats of white paint on it, along with 2 coats of Big Top on most of the white parts of the star. So it's definitely a process. And then trying to figure out how exactly to cut out the decoupage paper to have an exact piece that would fit perfectly on the sides of the star was a little bit of an issue as well. But I finally figured it out, and here I am with it over the top of my counter on the paper, lining up the side of the paper and then tracing it out. And then really carefully trying to cut a perfectly straight line, because this is going to be my template to put down and trace out 4 more of these pieces. And then I took it and I put it in the star and I traced down that last crevice so that I could cut off the excess on the end. And then once I had this all cut out and done, I used this piece to trace out the others and cut them out as well. Now here I am. I finally got the white to be white and not yellow. And I am taking liquid patina by DIY and covering the whole white area, and then putting that piece that I'd cut out down and covering it again with another coat of liquid patina. And I do that on all 5 of the white areas on the star. The next step is getting rid of the little bit of excess that was hanging on a couple of the pieces. And I'm just using sandpaper and kind of in a downward motion and then going across, sanding the edge to get that little bit of paper off of there. Once the edges are all smooth and everything looks really good, I took my little black dress and I went over any place where the white was showing really carefully with a small tip brush, just to kind of cover that up and make sure that my black was all black and there wasn't any white showing anywhere. And then the very last step is taking Big Top and sealing the black paint. I didn't have to worry about the decoupage paper. The liquid patina is perfect for sealing that all in, but I needed to make sure that the black paint got sealed as well. And I love how it turned out. For project 5, I redid this little coffee mug holder, and the first thing I did was actually screw in all of the pieces because they were all really loose. And so I screwed them in, made sure they were all tight, and then I painted it 1 coat of Little Black Dress, which you saw in the very first clip there. Totally forgot to actually record myself doing that. But the next step, I took and coated it with Big Top because I wanted to cover this with white paint. And when I went to distress it, I didn't want to go all the way back to the white that was underneath. And so here I am giving it 1 good coat of white paint. And I did go over this with a second coat, and I'm using White Swan by DIY. And then using my damp shop towel to distress basically everywhere where there's little details or raised areas, where the coffee mugs would distress it when you're putting them on and taking them off. Just kind of going through and making that black shine through in all the appropriate places. And once that's all done, I'm just taking Big Top again and sealing that paint in. Big Top is a great sealer, and it's very durable. So on this mug tree, I thought that would probably be important because if anybody actually uses it, the little stems there are going to get abused to some extent. My sixth and final project was this cute little wooden shelf that I found. I loved it because it had this really pretty detail on the front, and I decided that I would kind of match a couple of the other pieces that I'd already done and paint this white so that I could distress it back to that beautiful wood color, and then finish it with wax. So here I am, just putting one good coat of white Swan all over the piece. And then going back over it with a second coat of white Swan. And then distressing. This was fun because all of that beautiful detail looked so pretty when I did the distressing. I kind of go through and just go along the edges and the fronts and make some of that wood come through so you can see it. Do around the corners on the top. And then finally wax, and I'm just using DIY's clear wax. And again, it's a really easy process. You just use your wax brush and you dip it into the wax and then kind of rub it into all the nooks and crannies of your piece, and then take a shop towel or a cheesecloth or a soft rag and wipe any excess back off. Just trying to get some out, any gooky parts out of the little details on the front. Get the sides all done. And wipe it off. And lastly, get the top done. And I absolutely love how this little shelf turned out. So what did you guys think of the 6 items that I finished for you for this week's video? And which one was your favorite? I'm curious to see. So comment below and let me know. I think for me it's probably the star. Definitely the most labor intensive, but I love the way it turned out. I think it's beautiful. Anyway, Thursday's video is going to be my thrift haul. My husband and I did go out on a junk run, but the shelves at most of the stores were pretty bare. And so we didn't really bring home a heck of a lot. So the video is going to be pretty short. I'm thinking I might add in some video on some of the cool tomato varieties that I'm actually ordering seeds for my nursery. So stay tuned for that. And I hope to see you back here on Thursday. Have a great day, and I'll see you then. Bye.